Welcome to Not Factory Approved. Well, since the crash of 22, hard drive crash that is, I lost all the images and videos of me disassembling a Hydramatic, so I'm going to try something crazy and reassemble this one, which is my spare transmission, and play the video backwards. See if that makes any sense. Well, that didn't work. Now I know one more thing that doesn't work. That's the beauty of this channel. Learn by my mistakes. So I will reassemble and disassemble and reassemble again, just for your viewing pleasure. One thing I should point out is that it's not a good idea to have the torus resting on the floor like you see in this picture. So let that be a lesson to you. Here we have a 1952 Hydramatic. It's a Cadillac version because it has C in the serial number. And C52. First three alphanumerics indicate make and year. So these transmissions went into a lot of different things, including tanks in the Second World War, small tanks. So I will show you how it comes apart. First comes the what's called the torus. That's these three pieces. This is in two pieces. That nut has to come off, and then there's some clips that have to be removed. Everything comes out, and then the bell housing comes off, and then disassemble the inner workings. First, there's a tab here that gets bent over. I've had this apart already, so that's why it's not bent over, retaining that nut. Those are usually tighter than that. You might have to lock up the torus cover through those holes. That's those two, and this has to come off like that. That's one part of it. This is an oil relief here, and that's worn in this one. See, there's a step down groove there. And then there's a clip that holds this one on, which I have removed previously. Oh, sorry. There's a second clip right there. That has to come off. You'll need special pliers for that, or you'll be fighting a long time. There we go. Makes it much easier. These have a bevel to them, so you want the thinnest or the least gap, the taper, towards the outside so that you can grip with this kind of pliers. Then this one comes off. It has the thinner splines on it and the wider shaft. Here comes this one. There's another ring retains it. That's not here. And because it's sitting on the ground, some weight on it. There we go. That's that part. This side here has to be smooth. That's where the O-ring goes. Then inside is some rings that are like piston rings, cast iron, go on this body that's in here, which I will show you. Those parts, now I'll just remove the bell housing, which is those 3/4 inch bolts. They're usually up somewhere around 90 foot-pounds, so they're pretty tight. I've had this apart, as I said before, so nothing is tight. For the interest of time, I'm just going to get the impact. Keep those with the bell housing. Now there's these two, and those come off. This can come out. You have to undo this one, which is the front oil pump relief valve. That's usually not pretty tight too. There we have it. You have to undo the band adjusting screws so they're loose. That's a 3/8 square. You either need a 3/8 open end or a square socket. I'll take off the side cover, 7/16. These have copper washers on them. And this arrangement has to come out. This is the reverse shifter here. You have to watch, there's a ball and a spring in there in the valve body, and that will go flying. And here's the reverse lock at the back. This is the reverse lock here. So that gets moved like that. That's reverse position. This gets pulled down and it meshes against the planetary gear set underneath to lock it up for reverse on the outside. This is the governor. High-speed oil pump apparently. The valve body. This shifter pulls a piston, and this one is not meshed. Or I'll turn it this way. Go get some light. In there's a pin and a piston right above the flashlight. And that peg has to mesh inside that groove, and that moves the valve body shifter. And then there's a secondary one here, top, which is the throttle position, which helps in shifting as well. Now I'll take off the valve body and reverse lock, and then I'll do the tail. I've taken off the pan already. And this comes off. Watch the spring that's in there. And this roller. Those have a tendency to fall off as well. So this has 2 or 3 shims underneath it, or sorry, 1 to 3 shims usually. And that determines the mesh that it has locking the rear planetary. Then this is with a keeper as well, this pin that holds the rear shifter. The valve body. And that, you have to slide this out, so take out the bolts. And then this slides out that way. Got 3 of them. You can't put this on backwards. And then this is the throttle position here, and the shifter there with the valve and the peg. So you have to pull this back like that, watch the spring, pull out the shifter, and get it to mesh. Which is a project for another time. And then this just pulls off, or you can just undo it like this. And the whole works comes off. That's the governor assembly. There are 2 clips in here. They have to have the holes inside up, and when you're holding it like this towards the drive plate, and everything has to turn freely, and you have to be able to move that piston. And the filter just pops that way and comes forward. Usually there's a spring in there. This one seems to be missing. Now you have to take off the tail shaft, servos, the rear servo, front servo. Take off this pickup and undo this tube here. So these, the inner ones here are 9/16 and they have copper washers. And I believe there's 5 of them. I'll need a wrench for that one. Still pretty heavy. Two, three, yeah, 4 and 5. Get a wrench for that. Now for the tail shaft, or tail housing rather. Should be 6 of them. You can see the speedometer drive is inside there. And then this plate is locked to the rear housing. It's got a bearing on it. And a clip holds everything in. Now, let's take out these things. Nine-sixteenths. Undo this and undo this. And those are 7/16. And they have keepers on them. There's a gasket on there, no seal. And this comes out. You can pull that out that way. You can't take it out in the reverse order. You have to get the pickup out first. So then the servos are loose. Those can just lift up as a unit. And here's the piston and lever. And the lever has a recess for the rear band. And this drives a pin for the front band. There's the bands. The front one is spiral. And the rear one is strictly a single. Move it that way first, and then out. Here's the pump and the line. Yeah. There's the reverse band there. This case is broken, and this one here for the reverse lock. Now the front oil pump has to come out. There's normally a gasket here. These are 1/2 inch. Oops. Little stubbies. Copper washer. Then this is supposed to come out here. Don't leave your fingers behind. So that's the front assembly with the planetary sun gear. And this comes off. Here's the 2 rings that do the sealing for the front Taurus cover. That should turn well, of course. And that's where the oil pressure relief sits. And there's another tube that I didn't have in before, which fits there. So that's that one. Now to get this out, tail shaft, oh yes, it's got these bolts, 6 bolts that lock it to the rear planetary set. So I've taken the 6 bolts or 1/2 inch out of there, and this whole schmear slides out. So there's the rear set with the reverse. Then you have the driving shaft, the main shaft for the thrust washer. And you have to undo these 5/8 that hold the cap on, and that cap locks the oil delivery sleeve, which then helps to support the whole assembly in the middle, like a main bearing. Now this cap only goes in one way, so you can't put it in wrong. If you're forcing it, it's wrong. So there is an offset in here where the sleeve sits, and it has keepers as well. So then once you've done that and everything's loose, then you can lift it out, which is a challenge, let me tell you. So you have to get it in just the right position, and then the bands will slide off, and there you have it. This band can come off now, like that. There it is. There's the oil delivery sleeve inside. When I undo the clip that holds it all together, these can come apart. The clutches and the discs, the fiber and the steel discs are inside there on both of them. They have the pistons here, and those face each other. There you have it, front, rear. And if you want to find out the theory of the transmission, recommend a site called Weber Auto, or Weber Automotive. Look up Hydramatic. It's a 5-part series, I think. Talks about the history, the theory, disassembly, reassembly. It doesn't go into a lot of detail on disassembly. So these are the 2 ports here, and there's a locating recess there for the pin for the cap. One disassembled Hydramatic. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or even notify, or any of the above, or all of the above. Thank you.